Hey guys, it's Emma Vigling with TYT Politics. Hope everyone's having a lovely lead up to Thanksgiving and they're not trying to kill their family already. I just had a lovely discussion with my mother who said, maybe you were right about this election the whole time. Go figure. Subscribe to TYT Politics, friends and family. Hope everyone's having a great day. By the way, Jordan is heading back to Standing Rock right now. The guy never sleeps, so he's going to be covering Standing Rock, all the brutality that's going on there, and he will be doing a Facebook Live or a YouTube Live, I'm not exactly sure, a live update on, I think it's Facebook Live, on what's going on there and how he's heading there and what's going to be happening. Thanksgiving is coming up, and Thanksgiving obviously has a lot of implications for our relationships with the Native American people. It is sadly poetic and depressing that what's going on right now is so emblematic of the cruelty with which the white population in this country have treated Native Americans. So that's going to be a very important topic, and of course TYT Politics is covering it. So now I am here in New Jersey. We have closet cam today because I have so much family here and so much going on that I needed to find the quietest place in the house for me to actually do a Facebook Live for you. So I am in a closet as we speak. By the way, I wanted to plug this. I did go on TYT Sports the other day, and those clips should be coming up soon. So with Jason Rubin, who's the great host on TYT Sports, we talked NFL, we talked NBA. Going to be some great stuff up there. So, but before I stop, I need to stop plugging because it's frustrating and annoying, right? So here, closet cam. Look at the computer. There you go. High quality production here at TYT. So, of course, Donald Trump is trying to get his latest scam in. That's the history of his life. He just scams people. He basically scammed the American people into thinking he was going to drain the swamp. Of course, he did not. He has been stacking his cabinet with lobbyist after Republican insider. That is the story of Donald Trump's life. He has scammed a significant portion of the American people, and he is going to continue to do so. Bernie Sanders, by the way, is not going to fall for it. So this is the latest update on what's going on with Trump's infrastructure plan, because as you know, Bernie Sanders said, hey, I'm going to be able to work with him maybe on infrastructure. He said that he was for infrastructure. That's a priority for me as well, so hopefully we can work together. Let's see how that's going. This is an op-ed from the Washington Post, and then I'll bring you to more concrete, non-opinionated articles. Although, that's overrated. So this is from Ron Klain, who served in the Obama administration, so take that with a grain of salt, but Bernie is doing exactly what Ron Klain is advocating, so I am for it, full disclosure. So, Ron Klain in the Washington Post says, as the White House official responsible for overseeing implementation of President Obama's massive infrastructure initiative, the 2009 Recovery Act, I've got a simple message for Democrats who are embracing President-elect Donald Trump's infrastructure plan. Don't do it. It's a trap. Backing Trump's plan is a mistaken policy and political judgment, and they will regret it, as did their Democratic predecessors who voted for Ronald Reagan's tax cuts in 1981 and George W. Bush's tax cuts in 2001. So why? First, Trump's plan is not really an infrastructure plan. It's a tax cut plan for the utility industry and construction sector investors, and a massive corporate welfare plan for contractors. The Trump plan doesn't directly fund new roads, bridges, water systems, or airports, as did Hillary Clinton's 2016 infrastructure proposal. Instead, Trump's plan provides tax breaks to private sector investors, go figure, who back profitable construction projects. These projects, such as electric grid modernization or energy pipeline expansion, might already be planned or even underway. There's no requirement that the tax breaks be used for incremental or otherwise expanded construction efforts. They could all just go to fatten the pockets of investors in previously planned projects. Doesn't that sound like Donald Trump and the Republicans? Moreover, as others have noted, desperately needed infrastructure projects that are not attractive to private investors, aka municipal water system overhauls, which is what we need, obviously Flint and other lead-poisoned water in this country, repairs of existing roads, replacement of bridges that do not charge tolls get no help from Trump's plan. And contractors, well, they get a 10% pre-tax profit margin according to the plan. Combined with Trump's sweeping business tax break, this would represent a stunning $85 billion after-tax profit for contractors, underwritten by the taxpayers. Of course! Someone says, love you, Anna. That's not me. I'm Emma, but I can only hope to be as cool as Anna one day. Second, as a result of the above, Trump's plan isn't really a jobs plan either. Because the plan subsidizes investors, not projects, because it funds tax breaks, not bridges, because there's no requirement that the project be otherwise unfunded, there is simply no guarantee that the plan will produce any net new hiring. Investors may simply shift capital from unsubsidized projects to subsidized ones and pocket the tax breaks on projects they would have funded anyway. Contractors have no obligation to hire workers or expand workers' hours to collect their $85 billion. To their credit, the plan's authors don't call it a jobs plan. That is to their credit. Thank you, Ron. Ironically, it is the Democrats looking to align with Trump who have given it that name. They should not fool themselves. So why are the Democrats assigning jobs to saying that it's going to help jobs when it isn't? It's because they're trying to find a compromise. But you know what? I'm all for compromise if it's between two sides that have decent ideas. This plan has no decent ideas for the American workers. So why are the Democrats giving up their high ground? Because, as always, they are perpetual losers. Third, because there is no proposed funding mechanism for Trump's tax breaks, they will add to the deficit, perhaps by $137 billion. Yes, some economists think more deficit spending will boost growth, but you can't be sure of this. In Trump's hands, rising deficits will be weaponized to justify future cuts in healthcare, education, and social programs. Just as David Stockman used deficits caused by the Reagan tax cuts as a rationale to slash social programs 3 decades ago, so be on the lookout for that. The deficits caused by Trump's infrastructure tax cuts will be used, he's speculating here, but I think it's appropriate, will be used to justify cuts in programs. Thus, Democrats should know that every dollar spent on the Trump tax scheme to enrich construction investors and contractors is a dollar that will be cut from schools, hospitals, and seniors. So, someone else agrees with Ron Klain on this, and it's someone that we know very well. We know Bernie Sanders, as always, just doing his thing, fighting for the American people. Here we go. Bernie Sanders called Donald Trump's infrastructure plan a scam. That only helps large companies and Wall Street billionaires on Monday. Trump's plan gives giant tax credits for private companies who invest in projects. This is just reiterating what I kind of just said, lowering the cost of financing the project significantly. Sanders took issue with the tax loopholes afforded by the plan. This is a quote from Bernie. Trump would allow corporations that have stashed their profits overseas to pay just a fraction of what the companies owe in federal taxes, he wrote. And then he would allow the companies to invest in infrastructure projects in exchange for even more tax breaks. Trump's plan is corporate welfare coming and going. Sanders noted infrastructure in the U.S. is in great need of repair and wrote that he would reintroduce the Rebuild America Act, which calls for the investment of $1 trillion over 5 years. Others from the Democratic Party, here we go, like Senator Chuck Schumer, have said the infrastructure is one legislative area where they can work with Trump. Surprisingly, on certain issues, candidate Trump voiced very progressive and populist opinions, Schumer said on NBC's Meet the Press, which is not what you are, Chuck Schumer. No, in no way are you a populist. For instance, getting rid of the carried interest loophole, changing our trade laws dramatically, and a large infrastructure bill. So I'll give credit. I don't think that in that particular quote, Chuck Schumer is specifically addressing this plan. But where is the corporate media? Where are the establishment Democrats calling out Chuck Schumer, who's saying that he wants to work with Donald Trump on infrastructure bills, yet they're so outraged that Tulsi Gabbard would take a meeting with Donald Trump? That was one of the most outrageous things yesterday. Tulsi Gabbard basically said, I went to meet with Donald Trump because I want to prevent war. I don't want the neocons influencing him because he is a ball of clay and he's a moron and he gets influenced by whoever is around him. So Tulsi Gabbard said, hey, I'm a veteran. I will go to Donald Trump and give him some advice and tell him to steer in a different direction. And yet the establishment Democrats are like, you can't work with him. He's a maniac. Why are you even trying to work with him? But then when Chuck Schumer says, oh, we can work with him on infrastructure, that makes a little bit more sense to the corporate Democrats, doesn't it? Because Tulsi Gabbard is not in the in crowd, and Chuck Schumer makes them a lot of money. So, who is Chuck Schumer, by the way? This is a little off topic, but I think it really helps inform how Chuck Schumer is going to govern. This is just a small quote from the Intercept article, which I tweeted out a few days ago. Schumer's done more than anyone except Bill and Hillary Clinton to intertwine Wall Street and the Democratic Party. He raises millions and millions of dollars from the finance industry, both for himself and for other Democrats. In return, he voted to repeal the Glass-Steagall Act in 1999 and voted to bail out Wall Street in 2008. Go figure. In between, he slashed fees paid by banks to the Securities and Exchange Commission to pay for regulatory enforcement and eviscerated congressional efforts to crack down on rating agencies. Schumer has long been the Democrats' point man in efforts to craft a bipartisan deal to slash taxes on multinational corporations. He also voted for the Patriot Act, voted for the Iraq War, voted against Obama's deal to limit Iran's ability to enrich uranium, and the list goes on and on. So, why would Chuck Schumer be more willing to work with Donald Trump on this corporate blowjob infrastructure bill than, say, Bernie Sanders? The proof is in the pudding. Chuck Schumer is way more friendly to big business and big business interests, and Bernie Sanders says this isn't going to help the American people. So, while Tulsi Gabbard is trying to find compromise with Donald Trump on not sending us to war, because, again, Trump is not a natural neocon. Trump could basically be molded in any which way. Hillary Clinton, yes, she had neoconservative. That was probably the issue that she was worse on Trump then. But Trump is surrounding himself with potentially John Bolton, other people from the Bush administration who could force him into a war with Iran. So what Tulsi Gabbard is doing is she's trying to insert herself and give him some advice in a different direction. That's met with disdain by the Democratic establishment. But when Chuck Schumer wants to do it about giving large corporations big tax breaks and make sure that they're very cozy in their multi-million dollar homes, then that's okay. Bernie Sanders is like, no, none of that. I'm going to look at each plan as it is and see how it's actually going to affect the American people. That's Bernie Sanders for you. So while Chuck Schumer wants to play patty cakes over this corporate infrastructure bill, we actually have a real progressive in the Senate, and obviously Tulsi Gabbard's in the House of Representatives. We have a few that are actually going to be standing up for what they think is right. So I don't even know how much Bernie can do when we have a Republican House, Senate, and President, and soon to be Supreme Court, but we have a voice, and that's what's important. And Chuck Schumer, while the Democrats have deemed that he is our voice, he has deemed that he's the progressive voice, and Chuck Schumer has made concessions by allowing Bernie and Warren onto some ceremonial positions and has said Keith Ellison should be the DNC chair. Make no mistake, he is not our actual voice. He is not our voice. Remember that, guys. So, have a lovely day, and I'm sure I'm going to be talking to you before Thanksgiving rolls around, but just if anyone else doesn't watch these videos, go check out our coverage of DAPL, Dakota Access Pipeline. Go check out Jordan's Facebook Live in a few hours, and make sure to subscribe to TYT Politics. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell the turkey you're about to eat tomorrow, and if you're a vegan, tell the couscous made from almond milk to subscribe. All right, thanks, guys.